Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hello everybody, my name is Charlene Schmidt.
I'm Patrick Schmidt.
We just watched Grail, episode 14 of Babylon 5 season 1, and guess what? It's time to babble for 5! This just sort of seemed to come out of nowhere for Babylon 5. Some dude is searching for the Holy Grail, and he's apparently now, since he's exhausted every avenue he can on Earth, he's now searching alien worlds for this thing that may or may not exist.
I'm going to disagree with you right off the bat.
Oh, please do.
It's not out of nowhere for Babylon 5 to do a thing like this that makes people question spirituality and religion and the role of that in lives and worlds and races and all that good stuff.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
I want to know what you think about this guy who is searching for the Holy Grail, Aldous Gajic, as well as the other guest star of the week, Jinxo.
I think they're both nuts.
Is that why they got along so well?
It's kind of weird because Jinxo, all through this episode, reminded me of Gail Boetticher from Breaking Bad.
I had not made that connection, but I see it now.
Kind of looks like Gail.
A little bit.
And also, you can tell kind of smart, but was just misled along the way. And
yeah.
And so I feel like there's a lot of what are you doing with your life kind of moments. And I say that as someone who wouldn't ever chase a Holy Grail. I think I've fallen the Garibaldi end of things. By the end of it, you can respect why they're doing it. It doesn't mean you have to agree that it's a good idea.
It doesn't have to make sense to you. It's their path. They can go off and do whatever they want. Hey, speaking of Garibaldi, he says something I think a little interesting at the top of this episode when they're talking about down below and what to do with people who are there. Garibaldi says, you know what, with some of the less savory people out there, I wouldn't mind just shoving them out of an airlock and forgetting about the whole thing. And Sinclair comes to the defense of the people down below, saying, look, a lot of these people are harmless. They just have nowhere else to go. I want to know, do you have any ideas? What should we do with down below? Do you see any apparent solutions in it or not?
So one of the parallels that I draw, one of the stories that I've followed fairly closely since we moved to California is that of homeless people. It's a big problem. Where do they go? What do they do? And that's sort of what this strikes me as, is it's what do you do with people who have nowhere else to go? There is no good answer. You can't just shove them out of an airlock. You can't just sweep the river that they live on and hope that they find a different place to go. That's not how it works. And even if you sweep them one time, it's not like it's going to stop the problem. Getting rid of the people doesn't address the problem. Garibaldi strikes me as a very much a what's the problem, let's deal with it now thing, and Sinclair strikes me much more as a what can we do to keep it from happening again kind of person.
Which is why Sinclair is the leader and Garibaldi is the security chief.
And I think we see Garibaldi change in this episode a little bit too, because at the end of the episode he at least has some begrudging respect for Thomas.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting is we see a lot of different sides of this where Delenn and Lanier are really in admiration of this guy. Everything else be damned. His career, apparently he's got enough finances to keep going.
Privilege alert.
But aside from that, the fact that he is just going out there in pursuit of something that he may or may not find is apparently very admirable to the Minbari. One other thing that we learn in this episode is that we kind of get a little bit more info via Jinxo of the fate of the previous Babylon stations. So we learned Babylon's 1 and 2 were sabotaged, Babylon 3 blew up, and Babylon 4 just disappeared. Any theories about what possibly happened?
Implosion, pressure.
Okay.
It's space, weird shit happens.
It's true.
And that was really helpful for me to understand this a little bit better, what they're up against. And you start to see right at the end, Ivanova is maybe a little bit suicidal. Oh, it's going to blow up in the end. Boom. Sometime it's just going to blow up.
Okay, I think that's the Russian in her coming out is just, hey, you know what? At some point there is going to be a boom. Someday Babylon 5 is going to blow up. It just didn't happen to be today. Somebody needs perspective around here. And people wonder why Russians drink. Well, I think that'll do it for Grail, episode 14 of season 1 of Babylon 5. Let us know what you think in the comments. Spoiler free, only up to this point though, please, because if you say anything spoilerish, I do screen the YouTube comments and I delete them, so sorry.